There we have 12 noon, and I'd like to say good afternoon and welcome to our third Lunch and Learn, presented by the George Brown College Foundation, today in conversation with Gary Teelucksingh. Before we begin, we would like to offer an acknowledgement of traditional land, and we acknowledge that George Brown College is located on the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation and the land of other Indigenous peoples that have lived here over time. Now, I'd like to turn things over to our host, Dr. Cindy Gouveia, President of the George Brown College Foundation.
Thank you so much, Alan, for queuing us up. And I want to thank all of our participants for being here today. We are in conversation with Gary Teelucksingh, who is the Chief Operating Officer of Capco, a global business and technology management consultancy firm. He is the chair of the George Brown College Foundation, which means he's my boss, and I'm going to try to do a good job so I can keep it. He's also a board member at Humber River Hospital. He is a published author. We didn't talk about that, but I want to talk about your book. A father of two, husband of one, which is good, Shub, right? So welcome, Gary. It's such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Cindy. It's a pleasure to be here. As I was saying just before we kicked off, it's always a little awkward, right? Being asked to spend more than 2 minutes talking about yourself, but I'll do my very best to accommodate today.
Okay, so I get.
Sorry, I was going to say I'm really thrilled that a number of you were able to join us today, and I see many friendly names, if not faces, on the list. So welcome to everybody.
Excellent. Thank you, Gary. We're gonna go for a little bit, and then we're gonna do questions and answers from the audience closer to the end. Now, let's talk about your journey first. Now, okay, I understand you're from Tottenham, so sort of give us a brief history from Tottenham. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Tottenham, Ontario, from Tottenham to Toronto. Help us make the bridge. Tell your story.
And this is the awkward part, right? Telling your story. But if I were to say that, well, there's a bit before Tottenham, and Tottenham it's straight north of Toronto. It's midway between Orangeville and Newmarket on Highway 9, and it's rural Ontario. Lots of farmers' fields, lots of farming kids and farming families, and that's sort of the small town Tottenham that I grew up in. The question, right, that precedes that is, how the heck did you end up in a small town? And it's the typical, so we all say typical immigrant story, but typical kind of makes sense because it has a lot of the same tenets. So my parents made the decision to, as professionals, leave Trinidad, where I was born and where they were born and raised, for a better life. And the better life was, aspirational, as you would know. There are a handful of countries, Canada being one. So they were very fortunate to get immigration to Canada, and we're all thankful for that to this day. But when they came, they really didn't have, it's, again, you come with hope, you come with perseverance, you come with very little money in your pocket. And I would say, for the good graces of the people who helped them, they were able to, after about a year and a half, move from sort of, laborer jobs, best that they could do at the time, to professional jobs, because they came as teachers. And so there was a board north of the city. So they located in Toronto initially. There was a board called Simcoe County Board, north of the city, that was looking for teachers. And so that's really how we ended up there, right? My father got referred by a friend to go for an interview. They really liked him. They gave him a job. The problem was that you'd had to give up one income, my mom's, in order to move there. So bold as they were, he asked them if they were still hiring, and they said yes. And so they interviewed my mother and gave them both jobs. Like, who could imagine? Amazing. And this was in a little town of Tottenham where they, needed teachers. So that's how we located there. So I grew up with all the values that you would imagine of a small farming community. and the work ethic that I think you learn from those humble, hardworking people. And I would say at that point, I mean, it was great. Like, what can you say, right? Salt of the earth people, a great small rural environment. Everybody knew your business. That might be the only downside. Growing up, when no matter where you went, no matter what you did, everyone knew your business. But what it really, what I would tell you though, the good and the bad. The good were all of those things. The bad, they were really isolated from the rest of the world. So it was really hard to think about what you might want to hope for, what you might want to aspire to, because for the most part, all you can aspire to, especially when you don't have family members that preceded you that did things right in this country, you can aspire to what you see around you. So you look around and you see people who are, bankers, who are, real estate agents, who work in stores, who have small businesses. And you can aspire to that. And then most of their children would go into those, or farmers, right? They would go into those businesses. So in the end, what happened is I wanted more. I wanted to see what the world had beyond that. So I chose to go to school outside of that area. And I went to Western. Pretty far away from home, far enough that you can't come back and forth, but close enough that, you can get back once in a while. And that's really where it started, right? I had the good fortune to go to university to further my schooling. My parents are teachers, so that was important to them. And that was it. You start your journey of education, not knowing what you're going to be or what you're going to do. And I took mathematics. And then at some point I had to decide, what do I want to be when I grow up? And, when you're doing math. So I did an undergrad in mathematics, and then I did a master's degree because I didn't think I was done yet. The problem with that is there's no real jobs. I mean, if you graduated from the program I graduated in, you would be in some form of AI now and, to have a hot job. But back then there were no jobs. So I decided that what I would do is go work for a couple of years, get some experience as a financial advisor. And then I was very fortunate to get accepted to the business school at Western, which is now called Ivy. And that was really my turning point. Like, I didn't know anything about business. I didn't really understand how it worked. I wanted to learn more. And that school really gave me the opportunity to learn about what makes the world tick, what makes businesses tick. So really it was Tottenham to Western, to more education, to an appreciation for some career paths that I didn't know about. And then I'll shout out to probably a group of people that no one here knows, but the Bellsberg family. So at the time, they were a very prominent family, and they owned a trust company and a number of other businesses, and they took a chance on me. They took a chance on hiring me and letting me work in Toronto. And at that time, what was the mutual fund business. So I became the head of their mutual fund business in Toronto, a fledgling business. And that's really, for many of us, I know many of the people on this call today, or this chat today, they know, right? Some of your first informative jobs are the things that really shape you, because if you're very fortunate, people will believe in you and they'll let you do 10 things, not one thing. They'll pull you, push you, right? Encourage you, stretch you. And I got all of that in my first few jobs. So Cindy, that's how I ended up in Toronto. And most of my career has come from that, right? I worked at First City, doing 5 jobs that the regulations today would tell you can't do, because, they're all separable jobs that one person can't do. So I've done compliance, I've done operations, I've done marketing, sales, I've done supervisory work. And then I worked for CIBC Securities, running their brokerage business, running their wealth office operations. And then I was at a company called AIC. I got a lot of your friendships that you form in university become lifelong. So a really dear friend of mine had left, and I've always had a bit of an entrepreneurial desire. A friend of mine was taking an opportunity to leave Toronto to go work with an entrepreneurial, not quite startup, but growing firm called AIC. It was owned by Mike Leachin, and he and I left our corporate jobs to go work for Mike and help him grow his business. And for those of you who know, Mike did pretty well, and the businesses did well, and eventually were sold to Manulife. So that's it.
Mhm. It sounds like you've had such depth and breadth in your career, and I know you're not finished. And listening to you talk about school, and what school has done to help you through your career, I'm really curious, and I think the participants are curious as well. Is why George Brown? You've been on a board or on our board for 10 years now, a decade,
Yeah, it's coming
right?
up. Yeah. It's always been the same thing, right? If at some point in your life, you realize that you should be thankful, right? You're always striving for more. You're always looking ahead. But if you stand at the point you're at and you look back, you realize, wow, right? There's a lot to be thankful for. And so I started this many years ago, probably 20 years ago, right? Wanting to give back. The first was writing a book to help people choose the best financial advisor for them so that they could make good financial decisions. And then, Cindy, I started to do work in the education space, starting as actually a program advisory committee member for financial services for George Brown for a number of years. And then I got welcomed to the foundation, and I thought, what are the things that I can do to give back, right? I can use the tools I have. I mean, many people have many tools. I don't have all of them, but I have a few. And I thought that what would be, again, my family is a family of educators. So it really meant a lot to me. I believe that education is a gateway for a lot of people to move from where they are to where they want to be. And so I thought that, helping the college, and I also, if you look at the work that George Brown does, it's spectacular, right? It's a bit of an unknown gem at times. But if you look at the industry partners we have, you realize that the graduates, the programs that we have, the faculty we have, and the graduates we have make a huge impact on the city. And so when I combine the need for accessibility, so some people need help in being able to take that step forward, I thought working with the foundation would be a way to help us and our unbelievable board. For those of you who haven't seen our board, look at the board. I'm humbled by working with those people every day. Those people banding together under Cindy's leadership to find ways to raise money so that the people who want to further their education, who want to make a better life for themselves, right, who want to get that step up, right, can get help where help is needed, right? Keep their dignity, but have some financial assistance, right, to take that step. So really, Cindy, that was it. It's the opportunity to give back, and what keeps you doing it is what you and the team play back to us, all the time, which is the success stories, the people who say, thank you. Thanks for helping. Thanks for being there, right? Thanks for supporting my program, like the Augmented Education program that we support, which we can chat about if you like. And I also personally do this because I get a real deep amount of satisfaction having the opportunity to work with the board members I do and seeing other senior leaders, right, who are incredibly busy, who could find 100 excuses for why they don't have time, always make time. So that's basically it.
Well, yeah, let's talk about Augmented Education. I know you've been an active member of supporting this program personally and through CAPCO. And why don't you say a few words about the program and, why you support these students?
I think all of these things are related to each other. I mean, the college does tremendous work and has amazing programs. Augmented Education program is a little bit special to all of us on the board because, it allows those in our community. It's in partnership with CAMH, and it allows those in our community who've had mental health challenges or drug addiction challenges, who are trying to find the way back to full employment in society and have employable skills, right? In partnership, CAMH in partnership with George Brown, right, gives them that gateway, that step to programming and programs that will allow them to learn industry skills that will allow them to gain employment and to do the thing that's probably the most important thing for them, which is to regain their dignity in their ability to provide for themselves and in many, many cases, provide for their families. So the Augmented Education program we created many years ago, and a number of our board members, and I think James is here, and he was, part of the team, and Marissa, I don't know if she's here, Marissa Somalias, they were part of our young leaders group at the time, and they were very instrumental in us bringing forward the food court social, which was an incredibly innovative event that taps some of the roots of George Brown. I mean, the chef's school is extremely well known, and Mark McEwen pitched in, and they started an event which has the best chefs in the city come together for charity and raises money specifically for the Augmented Education program. And I think, Cindy, we passed a milestone, right, in the last event, right? Crossed $1 million. $1
million, $1 million. And just to reiterate, the Augmented Education program has two separate streams. Obviously, the students do not pay for their tuition or books or anything else. So we raise money to support this program. Two separate streams. One group goes through 1-year culinary training, and the other group goes through construction craft worker. And it's a very well supported program because not only do the tremendous, amazing faculty and staff support the students through their academic journey, but they're also found job placements. And we have job coaches that go out that, engage with the employers to ensure that the student or the graduate at that time is successful and remains gainfully employed. Some interesting statistics about the Augmented Education program. Over the last 3 years, over 95% of them self-identify as BIPOC. 100% of them identify as having had or continue to experience mental health or some form of addiction history. Approximately half of the students are female. And I think it's just over 50% have dependents. So it is a very special program to us. And, the Food Court Social, which Gary, you talked about, is, sort of the primary fundraising event for this program. I see some of our sponsors of Food Court Social who are here. So I want to thank all of them. I see my friend Bruce from PCL, who's been very, very supportive.
Hey, Bruce.
And of course, the very special, dear to my heart, Order of Canada recipient, Sally Horsfall-Eaton.
Sally. So good to have you, Sally. Welcome.
Yeah, Chancellor Emeritus, who's here, who has been extremely supportive of not only Augmented Education, but all of our other programs, particularly our nursing students, as the school is named, Sally Horsfall-Eaton School of Nursing. So she's in the house as well. Just a bit of a shout out there. At the George Brown College and the George Brown College Foundation has embarked on an ambitious project. Can you talk about this project a little bit, just to give people a teaser? I mean, we can send out a link at the end, but I think it'd be important to, talk about that.
So look, we have, as a foundation, our primary responsibility is to support the college, right, in its major initiatives. And those initiatives obviously are for the betterment of students. So we do many things, including scholarships, and, we support programs in need. But one of the other things that we do, which is really essential, is we help the college, right, in it, execute on its strategic plan by way of raising funds in support of those initiatives. And one of the biggest sort of and most ambitious initiatives, and I don't know if Anne's here with us today, I think she wasn't able to join, but Anne Sato, the president of the college, is an extraordinary leader. And she's been able to do, I would say, have her and her leadership team climb mountains. And the next mountain they're climbing is the building of a building called the Arbor, which is on the waterfront near our existing waterfront campus. And it is innovative in many, many ways. The first and most important, or one of the most important ways, is that it'll be the first tall wood building in Canada. And so that is a very unique architecture. It's a very unique way of building and deploying. It's very environmentally friendly, and it also will provide a unbelievably beautiful addition to the waterfront. It will be the home to our, I think, Cindy, School of Architecture and Computing, and our School of Computer Science as well, or computing. And we are, as a board, in process, in joint partnership with the college, right, raising, I don't even know if I can talk about the target, but a large amount of money on behalf of the college to support the program. So tens of millions of dollars is the goal of the board, the foundation. And again, to those on the call, I would say, Sally, obviously you've been an unbelievable supporter, right? Our board members, everybody, Bruce, everyone, they've all been just phenomenal supporting our initiatives. And, we, in our capital campaign also, look for those folks to help us reach either themselves or reach others, right, who can help us reach our campaign goals. All of this, Cindy, is in furtherance of crystallizing for students, their best education. It is incredibly difficult for Ann and team to try to take a city college and create a campus feel, right? It's difficult, right? Because students, in order to have a campus feel, they need to have a campus, not just a series of buildings. And so hats off to the leadership team for aggressively working on a campus type strategy. And thank you to Waterfront Toronto for being supportive. But yes, our Arbor initiative is the next mountain we're climbing.
Yes, and we're very excited about that. Well, speaking of board members, I just want to shout out Lean is in the house. Lean Lee from
Lean.
Wealthsimple. Yeah, she's joining us today. And as well as my good friend Leslie McLean, who's calling in, I think from out east, where they have the best seafood, of course. So yes. Leslie, welcome. Lean, welcome. I want to ask you, I don't want to be tone deaf about COVID, and I know we're kind of COVID, like it's exhausting, but I just want to, from your perspective, maybe one or two things as to how it shifted your work and how you've been coping, or, sort of share some insights with us around that.
I'll share some insights. I think everybody on the call who has a day job, which we all do, who has to deliver results because that's what we get paid for, who has to collaborate with colleagues and support clients, or is probably experiencing the same thing. Our business had a cataclysmic shift when COVID hit, because we're a consulting business, and the intimacy that we have with our people and our clients is the secret in many, many cases to how high quality, really complex work gets delivered. And we work in the very complex technology delivery field. And I would say to you that, it was tricky at the time, because here we were engaged with clients trying to deliver really complex things. At the same time, our clients were dealing with how to operate in that environment. So we were dealing with how to operate, they were dealing with how to operate. But what I would say to you, right, is it's been an amazing, so lessons learned are, we are an incredibly adaptable people. And our teams and our clients' teams being so committed to the outcomes that they wanted, really did whatever it took, right? Initially, right, brute force to figure out how to just make everything happen and very little, if anything, fall down. I think their next challenge was, we can't keep doing this. How do we find a way to do it a bit better, make it more of a business as usual way? And so I think, again, the ingenuity of our teams, and I see some of our folks here, they're just extraordinary, just extraordinary. They and our clients work together to innovate every day, to figure out how to keep the job a bit fun, how to keep things a little less stressful, how to be effective in a Zoom, Teams, world. I would say, though, the other lesson learned is this, right? And I don't know about others on the call, but I'll share personally, I'm feeling it, right? I'm a little bit at wit's end. So we've all done a good job of coping, but it's hard, right? It's not that you don't love your family. It's not that you don't love, your home or your environment, but we are also social creatures. And the inability for many of us to interact, be it with our clients, with our friends and colleagues, it's really taking a toll. And we're seeing at work, hearing at work, deteriorating mental health in general, just of people subjected to super long hours, no segregation of work and home, and a lack of social interaction. So, Cindy, I would just say we're no different than anyone else. I think our organization is doing its very best to cope, and we have super strong leaders who are doing their best to be hands close to the clients, hands close to our people, and listen.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been an incredible year for our students as well. I've never seen more need than I have seen now, with the loss of part-time jobs, especially in the hospitality and culinary industry, the increased technological expenses, increased childcare expenses, and I'm grateful to all the donors who donated to our student emergency fund. I'm going to ask that we put that link with the thank you
That
email
would
as
be
well for
super.
those of you who are interested.
Yeah.
Okay, before we go to questions, can we play like a real quick game?
Okay, sure.
Okay, so I get to ask you questions and then you have to answer as quickly as possible. And then we'll go to the questions because I think there are a few. Okay, are you ready? These are
Sure.
easy. These are easy questions. Okay, first question, as quickly as possible, okay? What's your favorite food?
Sushi.
Sushi, okay. What's your favorite movie?
Top Gun.
Oh, okay. Oh, Top Gun. What's your go-to drink after work?
Oh, single malt scotch. Neat.
What do cows drink?
Milk. No. Ah, you tricked me. You tricked me. They drink water. Fine. Oh, you're sneaky. Okay.
All right. All right. I'm hoping I can still keep my job because, seeing that you're the chair of my board, this doesn't count. Okay. I'm going to go to questions now.
Yes.
We have 4 minutes. Chris McGrath said they drink single malt scotch.
They might now. Go, Chris.
Okay. John Wildman has an incredible question. You have had such success in your present work. Is there another career or area of interest you might be exploring? Oh, I wonder if John's a recruiter.
I am absolutely. So I have an entrepreneurial desire that I've always satisfied along with whatever I've done. So writing a book was one. I'm being encouraged right now to write another one. It's like harder than anything I've ever done. So I'm not sure I'll do it, but I might. It is really predicated on helping people. The other thing is a few colleagues and I are funding the opening of a private members wine club, primarily so that people will have a very affordable and accessible. So please don't let the private member piece sound elitist. It's really about a place for people to come together in a responsible way to enjoy, in this case, wine. So yes, and if I had a vocational thing to do, my vocational thing to do, I really want to, when I retire, I actually want to. So I have a goal to help 1,000 families.
Wow.
So I want to, yeah, and it's not even about measuring it. It's just knowing that you did it. And so, and I want it not to be, for example, Cindy, the work we're doing at the foundation, that helps lots of people too. I want to actually be personally accountable for something that I've done that helps 1,000 families. And that'll be the thing I do after I work.
I love that. I love that. Okay, there's another question here from B. Chan, and it is, what's the most important leadership lesson you have learned?
It's really simple, actually. So if any of you understand the philosophy of servant leadership, then I would tell you that's my greatest learning. If you, and it's hard, it literally is hard to do because you'll fail a lot of the times. But if you can truly try to find the best in people, to try to find the best way to support them and get the best out of them and not stand in front of them, stand beside them, stand behind them, right? And you will get incredible leaders. You will grow incredible leaders and you will get incredible outcomes. So that's that's the thing I try to live by. And, I have some colleagues on the call and they know they can hold me to that, but, and I don't profess to be perfect, but I would tell you that's my goal.
Amazing. Amazing. We have 1 minute and, Gary, firstly, I want to thank you for spending time with us today. I want to thank all of our participants. Our speaker always gets the final word.
So I would just, look, it's really, really kind of many of you to join. I hope you didn't do it out of, any sense of obligation. I hope you did it because, right, giving back means something to you. I hope you did it because, we share a special bond. But I would just leave you with this, right? There are many things in your life that are going to be enriching, many, right? And it's not for me to tell you what they are, but I can assure you this. giving back to your community in a way that feels special, in a way that means something to you, will enrich you in a way that many, many, many other things will not, right? I also believe that if you believe in something as simple as karma, right? If you put good out into the world, right, good will come back to you. So that's my parting thought. And in these times in COVID, put good out into the world.
Thank you so much, Gary. So now we know Gary loves sushi. Top Gun is his favorite movie. Most importantly, go-to drink, single malt whiskey.
And cows drink milk.
And cows drink milk. Yes,
Thank you.
as stated in our seminar today. Thank you everybody for joining us. Stay tuned for our next speaker. We'll be posting it all over social media again. She is the program manager for Augmented Education, Miss Suzanne DeFreitas. Don't miss it. Make sure you follow us. Click like, follow, subscribe, whatever. Just make sure you're dialed in. Thank you, Gary, and thank you, everybody. Take care.
Have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much.
Bye.